What does the Sikh community look like after the coronavirus? Gurdwaras, langars, Nagar Kirtans, and community events involve a lot of people in one place. And many say such events won't be allowed anytime soon. Maybe even until a vaccine is found. Will Gurdwaras have to change? That's what I'm trying to find out. Today, I'm joined by Gurpreet Singh Anand, Managing Trustee at Central Khalsa Jatha, aka Shepherds Bush Gurdwara, the oldest and most iconic Gurdwara in Britain. Hi, Gurpreet. What have Sikhs... Sasikal. What have Sikhs been saying to you over the last few weeks?
People have been very positive that although they've not been able to come to the Gurdwaras and they've been at home, they've found it's actually, helped them focus more on their Sikhi and bring them closer to the Guru. So people have been very active using Zoom as we are here. We've seen Kirtan sessions going on Zoom, Bart sessions going on Zoom. So the community is very adaptive. We know how to adapt when we face situations, and that's been historical for us.
And where does the Gurdwara go from here in terms of the future? I mean, it was already under threat, as we spoke earlier, it was already under threat from the local council. And you said to me at that time when we did the interview that even a small drop in takings would affect the financial situation of the Gurdwara. Looking forward, what are you thinking in terms of the status of the Gurdwara? Are you worried?
I'm not worried. We have a very strong community. So what this has allowed us to do is look at how we operate, where our Sangat is, and allowing Sangat to give to the Gurdwara. So we've just changed how we operate. So the Gurdwara Sahib has implemented a very high-tech live stream solution to allow us to stream 4K quality videos of a Divan out. And that's helped us actually bring out a Sangat that we've got globally. We're no longer operating with just the confinement of four walls. The world's our oyster. So as long as we can provide programs and divans that the Sangat globally can participate in online, they have a way to access the Gurdwara. Obviously, no longer can people come and access a physical golak, but they're able to make donations via a bank account or by credit card or online or by SMS. So it's a change. We're seeing a change in how we operate and a change in how we serve our Sangat, and a change in what the expectations are for how Gurdwaras are operating while this is on, and a change in our management perceptions that we shouldn't just perceive our Sangat as the people who are within our four walls. We should be much more broader in our outlook.
And you touched upon the point that I wanted to focus more on, which is like going forward, how a Gurdwara is going to change. I mean, as I said earlier, the makeup of a Gurdwara has largely been around community events, around those four walls. And now you are looking global. Will other Gurdwaras have to do the same? And do you think that's going to change how Gurdwaras work?
They would need to, or they will be impacted, because if they don't have Sangat coming in, obviously one of the main sources of funding for many Gurdwaras is their golak. And if that declines and they're unable to pay staff and ground fees, unable to pay their bills, they will be impacted and will be under threat. If they make that change, make that transition, and find out how do we engage with that Sangat, knowing that your Sangat can't come in at the moment and restrictions are likely to be in place. You might be very limited on numbers that can come in the future. Finding out how do you adapt, how do you engage with that Sangat. And the Sangat does have a lot of love for their Gurdwaras. If a committee engages and provides for that Sangat's need during this time of lockdown, that Sangat will continue to support that Gurdwara. That Gurdwara will have purposefulness and will continue to thrive. The Sangat will support it and make sure that they're financially stable.
And what do you think about other events like, say, Nagar Kirtans or, even doing langar, something like that? Are you looking to change how that works in the near future?
Well, we have at the moment made a change in that we are sending langar out to NHS workers, to homeless hostels, to food banks, and also to other community organizations which are distributing langar out to the elderly and needy. So we're sending 500 boxes of langar out each day, and that's only increasing. We've noticed a steady increase and demand for it. So again, it's seeing that langar is not just for the armed Sangat who would normally come to the Gurdwara, but taking Guru Nanak Ji's message out and taking it into the wider diaspora, into the wider community, and serving everyone around you, doing Sarbat da Bala. And as a result, from what we've been doing, it's created awareness around the work of the Gurdwara, and we've been receiving donations from people who are not even Sikhs.
And have government officials been in touch with you about opening up the Gurdwaras or closing down? I mean, what was the process in closing the Gurdwara? Like, did you have to go through some difficulties, or were there discussions at that time with government officials?
The thing we're not sure of who the government actually spoke to, because from what we understand is Gurdwaras did not get spoken to. So we understand there are various representative groups, but whatever advice they gave to the government seemed to be not based on actual knowledge of the running of the Gurdwara or actual knowledge of how Sangat interacts with the Gurdwara. So they did seem to be, in the initial guidance that came out, there seemed to be things which we felt maybe the Sikh community had been overlooked in the funeral guidance. And we then fed back into the minister, and then we noticed there was some changes and clarifications around how a Gurdwara could operate, i.e. within the Sikh community, after the cremation's taken place, we always have a Sahaj Path at Bhog and an Ardas at the Gurdwara Sahib. Praying with Guru Granth Sahib Ji is important. And we at the Central Gurdwara, we had taken measures to allow for Sangat to come and do that safely and social distance. So we had set a limit that we could safely handle up to 20 people. They would sit in the Divan hall, socially distanced, and we would cater for the needs of a funeral like that. And conversely, we could do the same for a wedding, for other types of programs also. So that does give a path, what we've implemented for funerals. It gives a path looking into the future, how you could have a phased approach to a reopening. Each Gurdwara will have to look at their building, how their footfall works, how they can keep people safe, how many people they can safely sit within their divan hall, socially distanced. And keeping all of that in mind, I believe Gurdwaras can achieve a phased opening and keep people safe.
Are you getting a lot of requests right now, people asking questions about cremations or even about weddings? Like, how are people having to adapt to the new environment that we're in?
We have had requests on weddings. We've had people come and ask us saying, only the couple will come and just have their wedding done. We want to make sure we're safe, but we want to get on with our married life, and COVID's getting in the way. So weddings, definitely we've had a lot of inquiries. As a Gurdwara Sahib, we've always been quite busy for weddings, being in the only Gurdwara in central London. But again, also just general Sangat, people wanting to just come and have darshan with Guruji, come and do matha take, sit and contemplate for a while in the Divan Hall. So if there is a phased opening and it allows for, say, a certain number of people to be able to come and sit safely and just contemplate outside of a big program or something, just to be able to have darshan, that would make a change. At the Central Gurdwara, we've got wash stations set up all over the place. We've got plans around controlling footfall, how people would come in, how they would go out, where they would sit. That's all been planned for, and we've been working with a number of other Gurdwaras to get all of ourselves ready for when reopening comes, that we can do it safely and keep our Sangat safe. it's their safety that is key to us.
Right. So you are actively involved in conversations with other Gurdwaras in the UK, perhaps abroad, about how Gurdwaras could open up and how they could keep people socially distanced in the context of a Gurdwara.
Yes, that's right. And with each Gurdwara, you'll notice it's going to be different. We're quite different to Southall. Southall will have a larger number of Sangat to deal with, so they will face different challenges. Also, other Gurdwaras they all have different challenges based on their building, their size of their building. Some of the newer Gurdwaras obviously can deal with footfall a lot easier. It's figuring out how many people are coming in, where they're coming in from, where they're going to walk, how do you keep them distanced, how do you control like a Jorak, for example, when someone goes to take their shoes off. Generally, I know from our shoe rooms, I would only ever let one person in at a time to keep them safe, because if you do two, they're not going to be socially distanced.
Yeah.
So it's just planning around that and then having sevadars dotted around the Gurdwara in their PPE, able to direct people and keep them safe and keep everyone safe and just keep that flow smooth. And we've noticed during our Langar Seva project, our Langar outreach project, we've run this on actually very small teams, socially distanced, and we've found that the Sevadars we have had coming have all respected social distancing and actually been proactive in that.
And what about the elders? I mean, would you advise elders to come to the Gurdwara right now or in the near future? What would you say to them?
Not until it's safe. Let's say if there was some sort of phased reopening coming up, I would not advise elders to step out. They're so at risk. We've lost so many of our elders to COVID in our Sangat. We don't want to lose more people. We want them to be safe. We understand there is a desire to come to Gurukar. I would ask them, please utilize this live streaming we've got. We'll arrange to have Langar sent to them. We'll, try and keep it as close as possible to the experience of being here. But we want them to stay safe. And for now, I would say people who are over 70 or have underlying health conditions that put them at risk, anyone in an at-risk category needs to continue to stay at home until the government and Public Health England say it's safe for them to be out. I would not recommend it and I wouldn't endorse that.
Some of the other religious institutions, like say mosques, have been saying that they've seen an upsurge in burials and people coming to them about funerals. Are you seeing more people come to you for funerals? I mean, to the Gurdwara for funerals? I mean, are we seeing a big increase in Sikhs dying from coronavirus?
Yes, there has been a large number of deaths, which made me quite early on realize that as a community we are being more adversely impacted than maybe other communities, because the figures that I was seeing of people passing away, especially within the first 2 weeks of lockdown, was phenomenal numbers compared to what the government stats were. So we knew that quite early on that, hang on, this is affecting us differently from what we could see. Definitely a large number of funeral inquiries, and some Gurdwaras have just totally shut their doors and aren't doing anything. And they're not helping with funerals, they're not helping with Langar Seva, we are. So we've been taking on requests for funeral programs from people who normally would have gone to another Gurdwara. Obviously, our requirements are there for the social distancing. There are a limited number of people, no elderly, no one who's in a risk group. So the funeral has to be very limited, but we've been supporting those, and we've had a number of funerals, the Divans, the Fart and the Sage Park, and last were the funerals. But also we've been supporting that with live streaming so that they are able to share that with their Sangat globally. On an interesting note about live streaming, I've had now 2 people wanting to book a Sunday evening program who don't even live in the UK, but they wanted to book our program and have it live streamed and dedicated to someone in their family. So it's interesting. It's new horizons. We've got to stay positive.
And lastly, what would you say to Sikhs right now in terms of how things are going to change, or just general advice? Like, what are you thinking in terms of the Sikh community, the British Sikh community right now?
I think COVID has definitely negatively impacted us in the loss of number of nears and dears. On the positive side, it's brought many of our community organizations together, realizing we have to work together to achieve for our community in this country. And we're seeing Gurdwaras coming a lot closely together, working collectively for their benefit. You know, if some Gurdwaras are going to be in financial threat in the future, the rest of us are going to have to work together to help them out. And so this can only be done if we're collectively and on the same page. So it's brought about a well-needed unity within the community.
Fantastic. I think that's all for now. Thanks so much for joining me, Gurpreet. I really appreciate that.
Okay, thank you very much, Sunny. Sat Sri Akal ji.
Bye.
Barfi Culture, Barfi Fateh ji.